Okay, yeah.
We're recording now.
Okay, so Jim and I have been talking about crowd-funded wallet development, and David, you had a question.
Yeah.
This is where you say, what is crowd-funded wallet development?
That was I said, yeah. So, okay, what is crowdfunded development?
Right, okay, so we've got some people that are interested in offline signatures. You're familiar with those? Anyway, it's a wallet feature. And none of the RChain wallets provide off-chain signatures. And
Offline signatures.
Right. And so I said to the guy, well, that's theoretically possible, but it would involve some coding. And he said, well, I'm not a developer. And I said to him, well, maybe you'd be willing to contribute in a different way, perhaps chip in some rev. And he said, what's chip in? And somebody else explained to them, that means, you know, you put in some money, some other people put in some money, and maybe a developer would be willing to take all the money you'd put together and, you know, from the crowd and do the development. So for example, Jim threw out the number 10,000 rev, and I think that got at least one positive response. So people were not scared away by that number. So that's sort of a little crystal of around which we might catalyze crowd-funded wallet development. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
So people might have heard of Kickstarter that does a similar thing, but everybody has to trust Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
And Kickstarter takes 15% or whatever. And while the RChain blockchain takes a small transaction fee, it's nothing like 15%. You know, it's like 0.01% or something like that. And you know, those of us who are setting up this crowdfunded stuff could take a cut or could not. You know, we could set up the contract either way. But in general, we can take all of Kickstarter and reduce it to about 80 or 100 lines of Rolang, plus some user interface. But the part that people have to trust is only about 100 lines.
So from the discussion we had earlier, and even this one, I can see that the major work has to do with the trust system then.
Well, okay. So we can start with very low trust. We can start with just, you know, people on Discord saying, I'll put in this much and I'll put in this much. And Jim just takes out a pencil and puts them all down, and right. And people trust Jim to put the right numbers on his pad, right?
Yeah.
So we can start with just very low technology and high trust. But as we go over time, you know, it's great when everybody knows Jim, but there's only 200 people in the community that know Jim. And if you want to get up to 10,000 people, you know, the Kickstarter sized communities, you can't have it so that everybody just trusts Jim, because first of all, not everybody knows Jim. And secondly, the pile of money is getting bigger and bigger, and the temptation on Jim is getting higher and higher.
Yeah.
So this is when the 100 lanes of Rolang becomes more and more important to the whole, making the whole thing work.
Okay.
Oh, hi. But we've got this kernel of a market, which is kind of interesting. We've got one side of the market really definitely there. The consumers, the producers, the developers, we're still recruiting. We've got some prospects. But if anybody wants to work for Rev doing front-end development on wallets, now's a good time. I am very hesitant to do it myself. If there's a bug in a wallet and somebody's money goes away, people tend to get rather angry and maybe even litigious.
So my idea of wallets is something similar to the way you have MetaMask.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, RUI is potentially a replacement for MetaMask.
Oh, okay.
It's a browser extension, and if it had all the features that people, We get rid of MetaMask.
Okay, so RUI is the same as we had RChain.
I think we're losing.
Very
it.
similar. Yeah, I was gonna. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was thinking about adding a feature. I went to RUI.
You're breaking up
Hey.
again.
Hey, Jim, if we both turn off our video, I might use less bandwidth for him.
Oh, it's a T-Mobile coverage thing, probably. I'll be in about 5 minutes. I'll be in my office. And that who's-
We lost him. Yeah, he'll be in it. He's walking the dog. He'll be home in a minute. How you doing, Tom?
Either he's running or the dog tackled him. Yeah.
I muted you, Dan.
Well, I discovered something interesting this morning. Where is it? I found that the deploy ID from using the JavaScript and the deploy ID from using the RChain are different lengths. So I think they're different somehow. And that's why I couldn't go from one interface to the other. You see how if you can see my screen, this one is from, I'm not sure which is which anymore. I think this is from, I think this one's from the web API, and this is from the RChain API.
Interesting.
And-
Now, I noticed when you look up a deploy ID, you only need like the first 10 characters or so in order to find it. You know,
Well,
like with Rev define. And
well, in an API, I think we want an exact
Yeah,
match.
you don't need the whole thing to find it.
Well, I think in an API, we'd want an exact match. But so basically, I'm gonna,
You don't need it. You don't need it in the API either.
in a program, we want to be 100% accurate, not maybe this is it. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop using the RChain API for the deploy, and use the web interface for the deploy, so that I have the correct length. You know, so it matches. I think because right now when I look up the data, I don't get it. But if I take the deploy ID I get from the web interface and use it with my get data routine, it works. So basically, I need to do everything on one API. Not I can't cross APIs. So
Interesting.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all these little encoding and decoding details that I guess every developer gets to go through this. It's like the trial by fire or something.
yeah, well, see, yeah, you were off. I don't know if you saw this, Dan. Here's one from one of them, I don't know what it's, RChain or the other one, and then here's from the other interface. They're different. They're
I'm on a small
two,
screen. Are they
four,
different by
six,
like 1 or 2 characters or like
10.
twice as long?
10 characters. It's
That's a-
10
I mean,
characters.
Is it like base 64 versus base 32 or something?
Oh,
Or-
it's definitely, well, I don't know, because I haven't seen the same deploy ID on both interfaces.
Yeah, I don't know how you would do that.
Yeah, I don't either. But I guess if I were to look up a block, I could probably find a way of doing that. But I'm more than happy to use the RChain utilities and use the web API, deploy, propose, etc.
Yeah,
Okay, in other words, just work around the bug. You do kind of, for community spirit, it would be good to report the bug and then go away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, once that I got to confirm it first.
No, you don't. You can just report your experience.
Yeah.
now was this deployed on localhost or testnet?
Yeah, localhost. Both of them.
Yeah. I mean,
And
it may turn out.
if I
It may
take the
turn out that
deploy,
it may turn out that you're just doing it wrong, and somebody will, but the next guy is going to learn from your experience, right?
yeah,
He'll be able to Google it up and go, "Hey, I was doing the same weird thing."
yeah, because if I found if I take the deploy ID from the web traffic and put it in my Python, get name at, it works. But if I take the deploy ID I get from Python and try it on the get name at, it doesn't work. So
Okay. So can you open an issue and at a minimum just put a pointer to this recording?
oh, this is being recorded?
It is.
Oh boy. Yeah. I can describe it. I mean, really I can. And that'll be I guess a PyRGov issue. So the ongoing challenges of getting this working. So anyway,
Cool.
so that's I guess that's a step forward.
Yep.
So I don't know if there's any other topics for today. I have no idea.
There
I
are.
came
Let me catch you up in just a minute here. I'm switching to office mode. Give me a sense of how pressed for time you are.
I started cutting the grass and I stopped to come in here and do this, and it's so I got a half hour, I guess.
Okay, that's in other words, if I started talking about my dog, you'd be less interested, right? But you might stay for more relevant.
Depends on the kind of dog. Yeah, you're right. No.
What am I doing here? I am joining Zoom. Okay, so excuse me if I do something squealy, but am I back?
There he is.
Oh,
Good to see you.
am I back?
You're back.
Okay, thank you. So we talked about crowd-funded wallet development, and I think we caught I think we hypertexted that. So let me see if we did. Projects 2. Oh, am I sharing?
Not yet.
Okay, I believe I would like to, so I'm gonna make a request to share. Am I sharing?
Yes.
Okay. Did I just hear Steve?
Yeah, I popped
Good
in to
morning.
say, hey guys.
So this is Governance Collab. I presume people know where that is. Then we made a new project very recently. So this is Rev Wallet crowdfunded development. So we have a number of features and a hope, and a couple people who said they would pay to see some of these features become available. And so we're hoping to do some matchmaking there. And there's a recording of me explaining earlier in this recording. There's David and I were talking about how crowdfunded development works. So anybody can rewatch the recording to hear us explain that together.
if I go back to where I was gathering agenda. Okay. Okay, today is May 22nd, so this would have been May 21st. Okay. So Jim was doing something with toSet. Remind him, oh yes, you were working on the sample ballot and running into issues with JSON versus, how Rolang is more expressive than JSON, and we found a way that's happy on both sides. So that, I think, I didn't actually look at this code, Jim. Oh, do you have any
What I
idea why
did,
this?
How did that happen?
I can probably get there some other way. What is it? What branches should I look for?
It's in group support,
Do.
which is merged, actually. I believe it's merged.
Which contract are we looking for here?
It's just sample ballot. It's in root.
So hang on. You're not committing directly to master, are you, Jim?
Nope.
Well, this says committed yesterday. And it doesn't say merged or anything approved or anything.
Interesting.
Okay, so we might have a mistake there. All right, anyway, do you remember which?
I think. Okay.
Here we go.
Also, I think yesterday it was. I had a pull request, which Bill merged yesterday also. So it's
Oh, maybe I'm looking in the wrong place here. Closed. Group support. So this culminated in that one. Missing comma revert, blah, blah, blah. So this was 21 hours ago. FO, blah, 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 blah. So I'm curious. Git is roughly impossible to use, so we're all learning to use it together here. Okay. Yep. Here's the merge. I was missing the thing. Okay, so here is the particular commit that I believe we were discussing, right, Jim?
well, yeah. There was actually I took a few commits. They reverted.
Sure.
I was trying to cherry pick it, but I don't. I didn't cherry pick because I don't know how. But I was
Okay.
reverted and was making errors.
Okay, modulo git weirdness, which is, like I said, Git is approximately impossible to use. This make ballot row file support set is the kind of thing you were working on, right?
Right, because I was unaware of the list to set function because it's not on the cheat sheet.
Oh, speaking of our community obligation to each other to report issues, did you report that issue?
No. Do we have? Is that still in Joshy's thing, or do we have a cheat sheet?
I believe that's maintained by the core dev team, or at least there's a copy somewhere in there. Well, there's a copy there, but that's not okay. That's a candidate for filing an issue. Okay, Joshy still has Git mark on it. Dev Rolang. Okay, this is in the core. Okay, so we could go.
Found it, huh?
Issues, new issue, report a bug. What did you expect to see? List to set, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say that the rest of it I could do some other time. Jim, is that pretty close?
Yeah,
Okay. Steve, anything you can do to help bring that to the core team's attention is appreciated. I should have
Okay.
CC'd you on that. Edit.
that,
So just so I have a better understanding, so list to set in the cheat sheet, what list to set are we referring to?
It in some ways doesn't matter. The cheat sheet just sort of has this list of all the methods.
Okay.
You know, it says you can add them and subtract them and whatever the heck. There's 8 of them and there should be 9.
Okay.
And you go by Steve, I forget, in GitHub.
Steve Henley.
Sorry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's Steve Henley. That's the
Yep,
one.
that's
Update
me.
comment. Okay. Okay, so pop back to group support. That's kind of cool. So that's been going on. Paul is a brother to Raphael, also known as Fabco Tech, and he's interested in front end development. My understanding is we have regrets from Paul. He is on the road, not in a position to use audio, but we've been chatting with him about getting involved in front end development. So what I did was I asked him to. We did this 15-minute demo of the liquid democracy stuff. Go away. Yeah, that exists.
Mm.
And so I invited, I think any front end developer, what I would like them to do is watch that demo and go, oh my gosh, that user interface is unacceptable.
Yeah.
I can surely do better than that. Not only that, they will pay me to do better than that. So I asked him to watch that video, cringe, and then look at our list of issues of the things we've guessed that should be, improved. But that's,
now,
sure.
David, Bill, and Paul have a meeting Monday at 5 o'clock, I think, on the status of the user interface. And
Does anybody want to confirm that?
Yeah, that's true. David,
Cool. You were saying, Jim?
There's some work which I haven't looked at yet, which is on the ballot-UI branch of
Right. So this branch has work as of 17 hours ago that, yeah, I have not managed to. Is it worth our time for me to try to fire this up?
You're on mute, David.
Oh, yeah, but basically what we have there right now, it's styling. There isn't any functionality yet.
Is it worth me trying to fire it up, or is it just sort of don't bother?
Don't bother.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. Okay, but I'll take your word for it. All right. Okay, Tomislav is on a hike. He might join on his way back. No sign of Tomislav yet?
Nope.
Okay, I hope to ask him about sharding. Did anyone see that the Chinese community got some articles in a really good-looking publication? There's a thing called Chain News, which is reportedly a big deal. And as far as I can tell, it's a big deal. I went and looked at the headlines on the front page, and it's kind of cool. What I didn't see is RChain on the front page. Evidently, you still have to search in order to find this material, but it's there. So that's cool. But there is this stuff about atomic cross-shard transactions. So I want to know how that works. So I was hoping to. So next time I chat with Tomislav, I'm going to ask him about that. So then here's Jim piping in about wallet development, collaborative, crowdfunded, whatever wallet development. I think I showed the board on that earlier. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, here's a thing. If you go into any of the RChain discussion forums, the number one question over and over and over again is, how do I check my balance? How do I use Rev from a wallet, right? So surely if I go to the RChain website, I will find an answer to this question. Wallet.
It sounds like it only happens if your name is Shirley.
Okay, no links. So I don't know how to get to the wallet page from here. And I think this is a significant bug. I wouldn't mind seeing that backed up by user testing, but that seems like a really bad problem to me. There's a, here is in the communications channel. Here is Daryl saying we should hire an SEO expert to blah, blah, blah. Where's the SEO bit? So Daryl was saying, you know, does anybody know an SEO expert? We need to be in those headlines and stuff like that. Well, SEO is about having a good website. If the number one FAQ in your community is how do I use my wallet, and your homepage does not help people find a wallet, no SEO expert can help you until you fix that. The SEO expert is going to tell you to fix that.
Yeah.
I have been giving this advice. You know, you can hire you could pay an SEO expert to get the same advice. I'll give it to you for free. I have been giving it for free to little effect.
Well, the one thing that I've noticed is that in the where you do find a wallet page, they do say that, well, no, the co-op doesn't recommend any wallet.
Correct.
And that's the problem.
Correct. So it's if you were to speak with someone on the staff, they would say the co-op doesn't endorse any specific wallet, and the reason is
this information is on the web. This information is on the web. The co-op says this. There's no reason to not make it easy to find. Look, the Rev issues page is there if you know how to find it. And this FAQ that says that these resources are not officially endorsed by the cooperative is there in red, in bold. There is no reason to not have a link from the co-op homepage to here, right?
Okay.
You know, it should say, how do I use my freaking Rev? Right on the front, right on the cover. This is what people want to know. Maybe not on the cover. Maybe you can have FAQ or something like that, or, you know, using Rev or something. But as far as I know, there's just no path. There's no way to get here.
Okay.
So if you want to have a good website where, you know, you get on the top of searches, this is what you do. You answer people's questions and you make things that people want to know easy to find.
Okay. So, and there was some other discussion as far as this developer page that it needs to be revamped. So we'll bring up your concerns in that broader discussion to see.
Okay, but don't let the broader discussion get in the way of fixing the number one problem, which is how do I use my Rev?
How do I use my Rev? Okay, understood.
Fix the specific thing and then generalize.
Yeah.
But okay, since I've got this other issue, which I notice, I shall report that due to my obligation to do so. I do a lot of work at Agoric, so my browser wants to go there. But one of the things I noticed on this Rev issuance page is it says we still do no, sorry, the developer page, which is how I got here, I think. No, I tried to get here from there's no link from here either. But on here, it says we do ongoing, maybe it doesn't. Okay, I thought I saw something about Tuesday validator things. Yeah, RChain, node community, node testing this place I don't think that's true anymore.
Yeah, correct. No.
So I'm going to report that. Issues, new issue.
I mean, does it make sense to have the CryptoTech IDE here still?
I don't know, but you can report that issue. Going once, going twice. Submit.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Pop. Rev issuance, right? That was me talking about user testing of the website. That's another thing you do if you want to have good SEO is you do user testing, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Jim will help you do user testing, and he probably won't charge you for it. You know, that's world-class expertise. Would you charge for that, Jim?
Well, I've been pretty lazy lately, but it certainly helped some. But it's not going to commit to a lot of work.
Okay.
If you can do the testing while he's sleeping, it'll work. He'll do it for free.
Yeah.
All right, so you might have to twist his arm a little bit, or get somebody who's really energetic and just wants to learn from Jim, a world-class expert on how to do user testing and SEO and stuff. Okay, well, you can ask me about SEO. Okay, that was another thing, is the source code for my RChain wallet. I don't know where it is. I'm going to not bother with that one. We're hoping these developers will come out of the woodwork, but maybe they will, maybe they won't.
So Dim Worm reported that
yeah, this is for the record, Jim? Is this for the record, Jim? We're being recorded here.
Well, yeah, he's been working on it, but he's not ready to release it, and he has not done the Web3 work yet.
Okay, I'm going to trust your discretion. I believe he told you that
Privately.
Yes. Okay. So you just divulged that. That makes me uncomfortable. But if you're comfortable, I'll trust you. All right. That's why I interrupted you, Jim. Was that I thought it was worth making sure you went to that on the record. All right. So Tom, those are the topics to date.
Okay, good. I had been reading here, so I kind of knew most of that. But it's good to hear.
Well, you were doing the community a service of helping me put that all in the recording that somebody might want to watch.
There we go.
We had this discussion of don't squander your ignorance earlier, which I'm not going to replay right now. Oh, I will also bring up smart contracts, OCAPs. Did I not put it in here? Yes, I did. So Agoric, just like the RChain Co-op has debriefs on Wednesdays weekly, the Agoric community or Agoric team does it monthly. And on community call number 8, a lot of my work was featured. So this is Roland, and then that's yours truly, and this is the CEO, Dean Tribble. So I invite everyone to watch Agoric monthly call number 8 at your leisure. And the other, and this talks about snapshots. So we use JavaScript, but we don't want to. Node.js is, or in V8 is like the dominant JavaScript engine, but it's 2 million lines of source code, and I'd rather not put my trust in 2 million lines of source code. And the developers of that thing have disclaimed any responsibility for OCAP security. Explicitly on the record, they fight it. So there's, that's not where I want to put and they have a JIT that is a just-in-time compiler, and so they also have no commitment to deterministic execution. So there's which I've talked about before, but I think it's so Moddable makes this JavaScript engine for microcontrollers and such, for IoT. The developers don't like the word IoT, but their marketing people must have convinced them to put it on here. Anyway, you can buy a $25 device that will run JavaScript. It's a lot of fun. I encourage it.
Okay.
And so the Agoric folks are all about asynchronous messaging and stuff, but what we do is JavaScript sequential execution in a sea of asynchronous messaging. So in Rolang, every single little expression and stuff runs in parallel. The agoric stuff doesn't go to that extreme. It just says, okay, you write your contract, which mostly runs sequentially, but then whenever contracts want to talk to each other, or even components within a contract, they send asynchronous messages to each other, just like you do, with promises and web development, stuff like that. So, right. So we have these things, VATs, and each VAT currently runs in its own one of these little moddable JavaScript execution things in its own Unix process, in fact. And one of the really cool things that the moddable folks added was snapshots. So the way we do one of the ways we do deterministic execution, for example, on Node.js that doesn't promise to do deterministic execution, is we just write normal JavaScript, which is mostly deterministic. And then your contract, the only input it gets is the sequences of messages from the outside world. So if you have the same JavaScript and the same messages, it does the same thing. So if we have our blockchain running for a couple of days and then your node goes down, you bring your node back up and you replay the whole history, and now you're caught up again. Okay.
Okay.
But over time, right now our blockchain runs 10,000, 100,000 blocks, and then we take it down because we're upgrading the software or something like that. But over time, we want the thing to run for years and years and years, and bringing your node up and then replaying all the history of the messages is no fun at that point, right? And it's going to get you jailed because you're going to get penalized for downtime. Validators need to stay up in order to play the game of proof of stake, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if your validator goes, you reboot your machine to give it more RAM or something, and in order to come back online, it takes 3 hours to bring it back online, you're going to lose 3 hours worth of revenue, or you're going to get jailed or whatever the heck. So what we want to do is, the moddable folks have made this thing where it'll snapshot the current state to disk, which is a lot like last finalized state. And then you bring the thing back on, you bring the snapshots back in, and off you go. And so that's the part that I'm working on at Agoric. It's a little bit like last finalized state, but it's these snapshot things.
Okay.
And
Cool.
just last night I got 600 test cases to pass and stuff. So I got a huge part of the development that I've been working on, which is it's demand. So this is, I should put that in this issue. That's what I've been working on lately. Yep. Demand page VAT. So we can take any of these VATs and we can move them out of RAM and bring them back into RAM, depending on whether they need to run right now or later or something like that. It's kind of like, I think you could, in theory, do the same thing with RChain. You can sort of, or maybe we do, I don't even know. The parts of you have all this R space, right? But only some part of it is involved in executing right now.
Right.
And the rest of it, as far as I know, stays on disk. I don't know if it's all in RAM or what, or if it's like memory mapped or some magic. I don't understand. Or I haven't bothered to study it. If we had Thomas Lopp, he could tell us in more detail than anybody could stand. So that's new in my world. What else for today's agenda? If I just look at well, I should do there's a way to do this. Issues, it's user. So this is all the RChain community issues recently updated. And actually,
Okay, sorry, Dan. I have to go now. I have a meeting in 4 minutes.
no reason to apologize. Thanks for coming.
All right.
See you guys.
All
I'm
right.
going to take this opportunity to duck out also.
All righty.
Grass beckons. See you guys.
All right.
See you, Tom.
I'm just going to do a little survey of what's been going on in our RChain community. We've been having a little discussion of that. Blah, blah, blah. So there's a bunch of Rgov stuff going on. Bill's been doing a whole bunch of issues list maintenance. RStake. Oh, cross-chain peg. I discovered a new cross-chain thing. Well, not new, but optics,
Mhm.
which is kind of an interesting, because I think that it's, I think I've mentioned this before, that RChain is often its own little world. And if it could connect to the rest of the blockchain world, you know,
Yeah.
if it can connect to Uniswap, then that might get a lot of people's attention. So optics is in that space.
Okay.
Yeah, we were discussing the optics prepaid contracts and the governance as a potential improvement for RChain.
Where would I find this?
Actually, you wouldn't find it. I don't know. Do we have a public summary of this? Or is Dan, probably Dan's.
Okay, so maybe not for something that's publicly recorded, but maybe I can look it up later. All right, good to know.
And where did I copy that? It was, you know, about prepaid gas. I'll just copy the links into the channel.
Okay. Yeah, the short version of optics is that they forego early validation in favor of a delay and fraud reporting. It's kind of an interesting approach.
A delay in what reporting?
Fraud reporting. They're optimistic. They just sort of assume everybody's doing it good, and then if somebody's bad, they I think they incentivize. They'll pay for fraud reports, and then everybody else just takes new messages and waits for a little bit. And if there's no fraud reports, they figure, okay, well, probably good. It's kind of like the way credit cards work, right? That's the way the merchant gets, the merchant gives you the merchandise. They sort of get your money, but they don't really, because the way credit cards work actually is, if you're a merchant, if you want to accept Visa, the first thing you do is you put a whole bunch of money into the Visa thingy. Did you know this?
No.
No.
You put like $100,000 in a holding pot in escrow. All right. And then when a customer comes in and pays you $20 for a pair of socks or whatever, you get to take your own money out of that pile. And then if the customer reports to the credit card company that you didn't give them the right socks, you put your money back into your pile. So anyway, there's this big pile of money that is basically because the customer can sort of claw back their money anytime within 90 days, right? And so there's this pile of money that's the merchant's money that's there in case the customer claws back the payment. Eventually, I think the blockchain is going to have to recapitulate most of this mechanics. This stuff where you make a $10,000 payment across the world and then you go oops and you can't do anything about it. The world's not going to operate that way. People want a little bit of forgiveness. Oh, which another one of the really cool ideas I have seen lately. Have you guys run across Chia?
I've heard of Chia.
So Chia is where's the thing? So this is how I came across it recently, which is kind of funny. Twitter pinboard. So the pinboard is really cool, and the guy who runs it is kind of cool too. But let's see. Finding things on Twitter is roughly impossible. How do you do this? Okay. This is a mildly interesting thread. This is not the headline, but okay. So Chia storage is very much on the exponential growth curve right now, and I'm curious when shortage will start to be felt in US consumer channels. So just the way, when Bitcoin and Ethereum on GPUs and all that kind of stuff, the price of graphics cards went up.
Mm-hmm.
So he's anticipating that the price of disk drives is going up because of the demand here.
Okay.
The total amount of hard drive storage is massive, but the number assigned to retail channels is not, and it's hard to increase. Doubly true for high-end SSDs that the Chia farmers favor for plotting. Now, the Bitcoin computation is almost all wasted. Okay, it all goes to
Right.
heat, almost all of it. And
Mhm.
I don't know whether, so Chia uses something called proof of space-time, which I don't understand, or I haven't studied or whatever, but it reportedly uses a lot of disk space. And I don't know whether it wastes the disk space or puts it to good use, because like Filecoin uses a lot of disk space, but presumably it's for services that people value.
Right.
But I'm not sure. Okay. What we really need is to make the cryptocurrency revolution complete is to a new popular coin that requires massive amounts of RAM. Then all components of homemade PCs will be equally unaffordable and balance will be restored. I've seen stuff that uses a lot of RAM. There's proof of space. This is great. Kudos to Bramcom and team for inventing a form of list that massively inconveniences anyone who needs to buy a new hard drive for the next 5 years. This is a huge leap forward for Lisp, which for decades had only caused pain to the people who used it. So this is the way I sort of got into this. Well, I rediscovered Chia Lisp. I actually did look into this in some detail. Your Bitcoin can not only do just normal single party payments, it can also do multi-sigs and time lock things. It's got a little teeny smart contract programming language.
Okay.
And Chia Lisp is a slightly larger smart contract programming. It's remarkably small. It's got, I don't know, 20 opcodes or something like that, but it is Turing complete. And he's got something in here about capabilities. So it might do capability security. That one, the jury is out. I have not completely studied that, but the particular thing that's really interesting to me is he's got some kind of recoverable wallets. Where did that go? I must have bookmarked that. Darn it. Because the other thing that, there it is, recoverable wallets. Benedita is another Twitter thing that I could find. It would be great. He says, Benedita says, if the answer to what happens when you lose your car keys is that you crumple your car, you're doing it wrong. And that's basic, if you have Bitcoin and you lose the key, oh well,
Right. Yeah.
crumple the car.
Yeah.
So this is an answer to what happens if I lose my keys or something. It was really interesting. Recoverable wallets, here it is. I'll stick that in here for governance collab for people to study. And I'm trying to, because there's actually, it's actually quite relevant to governance. Let me find the governance parts of it. Okay. A Chia recoverable wallet is a wallet whose funds can be recovered in the event the wallet is lost by providing a recovery string to another wallet. Okay, I'm already a little bit confused. In contrast to a BIP39 backup seed, I've only Vegas. I know what a backup is. I have not read BIP39. A Chia recovery string is a low security piece of information. Okay, so maybe you just say Snoopy or something. So it's, it's a word you remember, but it doesn't have to stay highly secret. A thief who finds the string can't use it to steal funds from a wallet they don't own. This is accomplished by the recovery process locking up the funds in escrow along with some mandatory staking funds. If the recovery process was initiated by an attacker, the attacker will lose the staking funds as the original wallet has the ability to claw back the escrow coins during the escrow period. If the escrow process was legitimate, however, the owner can retrieve their funds from escrow at the end of the escrow period, along with the staking funds. In this demonstration, the staking amount is 10% and the escrow period is 3 blocks. So there's some kind of thing where you go, I lost my wallet, Snoopy, and you get your money back. And if you're the attacker and you go, Snoopy, well, you go, I lost my wallet, Snoopy, $10. And then you get your wallet back and your $10 back. And if the attacker goes, Snoopy, $10, they lose their $10. That's the claim.
Right.
So I'm very interested to see A, how that works, and B, whether it can be done on RChain or Agoric or whatever. Because I'm very interested in recoverable wallets and how do end users actually, because private key management is not consumer technology.
Right. Agreed.
Consumer technology is you put your thumb on this thing, you go boop, and but if you lose your phone, you don't lose all your money. Why did that come up? That was a random neuron in my brain, I guess. I don't know. I was around here somewhere. RStake. Yeah, maybe that was neurons near there. Yeah, it was the optics that reminded me. Ooh, lots of Rgov issues-less maintenance. What else has been going on? We're still only 3 days ago. I was going to go back maybe a week. Anything besides Rgov? I guess I could probably go minus Rgov and tell GitHub to filter that out. RChain API. One of the robots has been bugging me to upgrade some dependency. What's new with you, Steve?
Well, let's see what's new.
You did a presentation on the 12th on
Yep.
Dazzle.
Yes, did do that.
Lots of interesting follow-up.
Yeah, there's two versions. Well, there are two sessions, the collab one, which was a practice, and then the official community one.
Oh, I meant feedback from, is there people that reacted to your presentation?
Yeah, well, Gary Coulter, he watched both episodes, and he said he thought it was interesting and he appreciated it, and it helps him to get a better understanding of what Dazzle is all about. So it's still a bit of a mystery to a lot of people, I think, but hopefully that'll change in the future.
Jim, you're muted.
So Steve Ross Talbot, he's working on Nextcloud with file storage. So I guess the sentiment is that's a big positive. I mean, that's going to provide some additional functionality that we wouldn't be able to get otherwise.
Yeah, he's got some ideas percolating around. I'm not. So there's this thing called Nextcloud. So there's a thing called Google Drive, which zillions and zillions of people understand. Here's the thing: you trade all your privacy, and they give you lots of disk space. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's a zillion people who do fat, dumb, and happy on that front, right? But surveillance capitalism is getting no fun. So then there's this old kind of thing where you have your own disk drive in your own hands, right? Right?
Okay.
But then it breaks, and that's a pain in the ass, right? And the reason people use G drive is somebody else takes care of all that crap.
Right.
Okay, so there's something in the middle called Nextcloud, where maybe at the enterprise level or at the community level. It's an open source thing, and so you can run it in your basement if you're a geek, or you can run it in an enterprise if you've got 3 geeks and 7,000 users. So Nextcloud is the thing. Let's go look at Nextcloud. I'm trying to remember what Nextcloud is. I'm telling you this from memory, but my memory might be wrong. All right, so regain control, self-hosted, right? So their messaging is about against surveillance capitalism too. There. All right. The self-hosted productivity platform that keeps you in control. All right, so they're preaching to the choir here. Okay, but it's still it's not. Why would RChain help with this? I'm not really sure how RChain helps. Jim, is it clear to you?
Not at all.
Okay.
I mean, no, in terms of having a sort of external storage capability, it might help if, rather than storing things on RChain. I have a little bit of a problem with, this stuff is under personal control, but there's no validation really.
Actually, I have 2 ideas. So, I mean, one possibility that Steve might have been talking about is using the RChain public blockchain as a sort of distributed, a decentralized storage for this. So you would take the files that you would normally have in Nextcloud and either instead or in addition store them on the public blockchain. And this has this weird thing because then they're all world readable, or you have to encrypt them, and that's kind of a pain. And it's just sort of, so that doesn't appeal to my intuitions very strongly, but it's technically possible. And that's the way that the COVID wallet kind of stuff has used that architecture where you just take all your bits and you encrypt them and store them on RChain. And I'm like, well, okay, RChain's like this really expensive FTP server. I'm not really sure I get it. But there it is. Maybe it'll go somewhere. But it doesn't really float my boat. So the other thing you could do is you could take our node, not the public RChain blockchain, but you could take our node and maybe a cluster of them, 12 servers or something, and stick them in your enterprise and stick that next to your Nextcloud server. And you could use Rolang to do smart contracts to control your Nextcloud access control. You could have your enterprise rules about who gets to access what, and if it has to be approved by this guy and that guy, and it's as long as it's not $10,000, and all those rules and those enterprise rules that Rolang is really good at expressing. You could have that to control your you could have that integrated with Nextcloud. Now that's kind of interesting.
Okay.
I don't know if that's what Steve is thinking. Steve Ross Talbot. I was blurbing about that, but not very coherently.
Okay.
If you want, you can point him to the recording of what I just said.
Yeah. Thank you.
I can't remember where I was blurbing about that, but like I said, it was only mildly coherent. Okay, that was something that came from you, Steve. We were asking what's new with you.
Yeah, let's see what else is new with me. I'm going to be attending the Florida Blockchain Summit in Orlando, June 6th, 7th, and 8th. So this will be the first Florida Blockchain Summit. So I'm looking forward to that. I'd put my hat in to become a speaker. I was hoping to be able to speak on Last Finalized State with the title. That's it. Blockchain becomes lean and accessible, but I didn't make the cut. So unfortunately I won't be speaking, but I'm going to attend and I'm looking forward to learning lots.
FinTech with a focus on Florida. I don't know. Bitcoin philosopher. There's a new role.
Yeah.
Bitcoin philosopher.
You've heard me talking about, you may have heard me talking a lot about block spaces. So,
I'm familiar with block spaces. Go ahead.
oh yeah, there's a picture of Gabe Higgins right there.
Ah.
Yeah, that's Gabe Higgins.
Now, my experience or my sort of rough impression of this is that it's about space in particular, like physical space, like people go into a room and talk.
So the original business model was back when the co-working spaces were hot, and the business model was, you know, we would have meetups, and the blockchain community in the Tampa Bay area would get together, learn about blockchain, and then people who had projects would meet at block spaces to work on the projects and collaborate. But
And
all
Blockspace
that,
also provided a place where you could run your servers with air conditioning and all that.
yeah. So they've since changed their business model as the market has evolved. So now they're more solution providers. That's the new business model. But they do have the servers, as Jim said. So they're heavily involved with Pocket, the Pocket network, which is a relay. Jim can probably explain it. It's POKET.network. POK.
Sorry.
POKT.
Oh, good morning.
POKT. Yeah.
That one does not pass the telephone test.
Yeah.
The telephone test is literally what we just did. You say something and I type it. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So this is yeah, the Pocket network. I've heard it explained to me multiple times. I guess if you were to, the basic understanding is, you know, this is geared towards mobile dApp developers. So dApp developers, they don't, you know, they can run on multiple blockchains. They can run on Ethereum, Algorand, Ion, and they don't have to have a full node for each of these projects. They can just connect to Pocket, and Pocket is providing that full node service for all of these mobile app developers. So that's essentially what Pocket is. And they're here in the Tampa Bay area, and they have spent a lot of time on developer tools. So apparently, that's one of the big pluses on making things easy to develop on Pocket. And they've got a coin called Pocket. I think it's at 80 cents right now, and you can have a miner and mine Pocket, or I think it's, you have to, by mining, it's not mining in a sense, but you have to own Pocket in order to participate in the relay, the network.
So Pocket was originally funded, I think, by Ventures. They were a part of
Oh, okay.
RChain.
Do you have any idea if
were
their
they?
API? Do you have any idea if their API has OCap support, Jim? Or
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm not really that familiar with it. I just know they're, you know, providing supposedly an easier development environment, and I guess Pocket takes part of the transactions.
yeah. Okay. So all such things are boring to me if they don't have OCAPs. Basically.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can build all the software you want. Software is not only insecure, but insecurable if it doesn't have OCAPs.
Yeah.
You're just doomed.
So is Mad Mode the best reference for that stuff? I'm not very good at explaining it.
Oh. So my marketing on OCAPs is awesome OCAP.
What's a mocap?
That's
Okay.
my personal marketing space. It's a little dated now, but you know, agoric.com is the biggest lever for changing the world that I know of these days, and it's all about ocap. So
Mhm.
you can
I
definitely
noticed,
send people.
I noticed Mark Miller is an advisor on the what do you call it? The near.org.
Oh, is he?
So if you look at the community, who is it? Where's the people?
It's oftentimes at the bottom. About team.
Team, yeah, that's it. So you go down to advisors. Interesting, not there. Wait, go down.
Okay.
No.
This is maybe just their staff. Let's see if we got backers.
It was easy to find. Where is it?
Okay, we can do some Google hacking.
Near.org.
Nope. Near.org Miller advisor loses. I know.
Oh, well.
Okay.
Am I confused? Was it somebody else? I could have sworn we found it during the governance meeting.
Yeah, if you find that, let me know. So Mark Miller's not just an advisor; he's a founder at Agoric. So anyway, and the what are capabilities is also by an Agoric staff person. That's a lot of people have said that that's a good article.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Did I paste that in here? I did. Awesome ocap.
So
Mhm.
yeah, Dan. So are you enjoying working with Agoric? Or you're
tremendously.
Yeah, that's good.
Having a blast.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So you've transitioned away from the medical.
That's correct.
Into okay. Very
that
good.
Was this article here.
Yeah.
Was
So Michael Birch is on Near.
Yes.
Oh, is he?
I did notice that. If somebody coming from RChain wanted to, another short version of what's cool about Agoric is the incentivized testnet is a whole long story that I could tell you about. It's really cool. But this is a little, that's kind of cool. This is the incredibly cool one. This was a demo in January of bringing Ether across to Agoric and doing stuff with it.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody wanted a quick intro to Agoric, that's very relevant. It doesn't, anyway, there's other intros, but that one's particularly interesting, I think, to anybody in the blockchain space. Block spaces. Oh, do you happen to know? Okay, so if I was trying to find out what block spaces does from this article, do you know which words says something? Why did they get $1.2 million?
Okay. Well, let's see here. So
because they've been pioneers in blockchain. That's why.
Yeah, they have been around for quite some time. You know, all their solutions that they have, I guess under the solutions heading is what they're
Okay.
Yeah,
Scaling
under-
operations, ramping up development, and core software and hiring. Core software. What's their core software? Is that the Pocket stuff?
Well, no, I think developing some interoperability solutions, something called Harmony. Whether that's their main.
Sure, might not be their main thing. Is Harmony around here somewhere?
Yeah, under integration solutions, so back under solutions integration. Yeah.
So, okay, this is twice now. So integration solutions, Agoric's whole architecture is about integration in a way. I should be able to prove this in 3 clicks if their website is as good as I think websites should be. Now their website did get reorganized by people that have different values than I do, but it's shiny, which is effective in certain ways. Partnering with MetaMask, by the way. Name drop. Okay, the thing that I was looking for is no longer on the front page. Technology. Things are sort of moving around. I know it was on YouTube. Playlists. What? Oh, crap. It was on somebody else's YouTube. Now, how am I supposed to find this thing? Protocol Labs are the folks that do Filecoin and such.
Right.
No, stop. Playlists. Here we are. That's annoying. I got to tell the folks at Agoric about that. So this is a series of about 10. Well, that one's not very short. That one's 53 minutes. What the heck are these? Are they really? Okay, there's 13 minutes. I thought there was a bunch of 12-minute things. Okay, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Yeah, those 4 are tolerably long. That is very inconvenient to find for such gold that it is. Let me see if I can find just like 40 seconds worth that's worth playing right now. Pause here, blah, blah, blah. Pixel demo, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's kind of it. Okay, let me start here. Are we game for 2 minutes of video or 5
go
minutes?
for it.
Let me try to go back a little bit. All right, I'm just going to start here. I don't know.
I don't hear anything.
Blah, blah, blah. Oh, you don't hear anything. So, okay, hold on.
When you share your screen, click the share sound.
Right. Stop share just a minute. Share screen. There's an advanced thing somewhere. There it is. Music or computer sound. Oh, I see. Share computer sound. Desktop 1, share. Take 2, roll.
The message to the
Yep, I
object
hear.
wherever the object is.
Okay.
So when Alice
Okay, we're down in the weeds here. We need to
keep the message, serialized blob is will and the machine in the validators.
Oh, by the way,
And
Jim, when I've been talking about capTP and going across blockchains and stuff,
Yeah,
yeah, we should watch this, at normal slow speed and ask questions and stuff to make sure people understand it. If we want to really talk about cross-chain stuff at some point.
Each validate and so this technology stack comes in several layers. At the bottom, we have the machine layer. In the machine layer, each of the individual rectangles here represents a distinct physical machine, but every stack is a logical machine. To us, a blockchain is simply a logical machine that's highly credible because it's built out of the massive multi-way agreement of many physical machines that cross-check each other. But each of these machines is only one machine in a network of assumed to be mutually suspicious machines. So on top of this, we put our Vat layer. The Vat are the individual green rectangles here, and that's our process-like unit of computation. A Vat is an island of synchrony. Vats interact with each other only asynchronously. And they interact by sending asynchronous messages over these data pipes that connect one Vat to another. And over this network of logical machines held together by this secure protocol, we build a world of secure distributed JavaScript objects where the objects are themselves layered on top of the connections, the data pipes between the Vats, so that the object messages are conveyed by the cryptography at the data pipe level. And we use our system of secure distributed objects to build our smart contracting system, our system of electronic rights and smart contracts. And we crucially leverage the distributed object system, the secure distributed object system, so that we can write the smart contracts directly and simply as patterns of objects. Our smart contracts themselves are not expressed using cryptographic concepts. We invest in the hard work of designing cryptographic protocols. We invest in it once to create the system of distributed secure objects, and once we have that in place, we can now express the smart contracts simply as patterns of objects.
Okay. So that architecture is almost completely common between Agoric and RChain. The differences are that, so when he said that Vats are the process-like unit in Agoric, in this Vat layer, in RChain, the little blue blobs here and the processes go all the way down, like the number one is a process, right? So you know, up here the blue dots, you know, the number one is an object in JavaScript.
Okay.
But it's not really the process is JavaScript lets you do, you know, sequential programming. You can say x equals 1 and then if x is less than 2 or whatever, without having to say that, you know, do a send and a receive and stuff like that, right? So Rolang, you do process oriented programming all the way down to 1 + 1 roughly,
Right.
almost all the way down to 1 + 1. So the Vat layer and the object layer are handled slightly differently between RChain and Agoric. But you can sort of trade one for the other pretty much. And in particular, you can, if RChain was one of these green blocks and Agoric was another green block, they could talk to each other, and one of them would, both of, you know, the RChain would think it's talking to RChain on the other side, and the Agoric thing would think it's talking to the Agoric on the other side. It makes no difference.
Okay.
They're both using ocaps. They're both sending messages between they're using messages and unforgeable references. And based on this architecture, you can build the same smart contracts at the top.
Okay.
In particular, the Rev is built from the Mint contract that Mark Miller wrote in 2000.
Okay.
There's a thing called makemint.ro.
And he wrote the original MakeMint.
Yes, he wrote it in a language called E that he made up.
Wow. Wow.
And then what he's been doing is he went, oh, JavaScript looks a little bit like E. And so he went to the standards committee and fought tooth and nail over years and years and years and got all of the important features of E into JavaScript, like proxies and promises.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And so now there's some not nice things about JavaScript, but we turn some of them off and we tell people not to use some of them. And then you get a tolerably secure programming environment.
Okay.
And the flip side of that is you get to use VS Code and all your normal tool and all your normal JavaScript debuggers and stuff. Whereas there is still no Rolang debugger, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just two different, Greg has taken the high road at every piece of technology. He's compromised on nothing.
Yeah.
So the Agoric folks have not even bothered to do a blockchain technology. We just took Cosmos whole hog. You just okay, yeah, Cosmos, fine. We'll just use that.
Yep. Yep.
And the benefit of that is we didn't, we have a test net and everybody uses it and it works like clockwork. And we had 1,000 nodes running on it and stuff, and it's just somebody else did all the hard work there.
Gotcha.
And anyway, so the whole business where the RChain is struggling to make it run fast enough that we could have external validators is, that's a choice. That was an engineering choice, and we'll see how it pans out in the market. So but this critical sort of Vat TP layer of using object capabilities and to do message passing between things is the way systems from chips, this is the way Greg is talking about building chips, right? At the very, very, very small level, you can have these green blobs, right? Big up to, you could have one green blob for the planet Earth and one for Mars or whatever, it scales way up and way down. So anybody who's doing integration technology, I would highly advise them to, invest in an architecture that looks like this.
Okay, interesting.
So if you know the technical people there, and you think that they want to be doing integration services, to the extent they can shape their stuff anything like this, if and when RChain matures, they'll be all set, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
And in the meantime, they'll have to chafe against Ethereum a little bit, because Ethereum's not shaped this way, and well, Ethereum just has one green blob, right? There's just one computer. They don't care if they can talk to anybody else. They can talk to other people because they have smart contracts, and you can do time locked blah blah blah. So there's various interoperability things in Ethereum, but Ethereum's the king, so they don't care. They only, though they care if that they can talk to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's actually the king. But that's the only one they have to care about. But like Cosmos is all this intervat protocol here. A big reason why Agoric teamed up with Cosmos is that the interblockchain protocol and what was called Vat TP here were almost the same protocol, and so they just got together and made them the same.
Okay.
And so again, Agoric doesn't have to do that layer; they just get everybody else to do that. So
right. Cool.
And so that, by the way, I mentioned earlier that I'm very curious about how we're going to do these. Well, it's claimed that RChain can do cross-chain atomic transactions, which I don't understand that. So I would love for somebody to explain that to me. Where was I going? Anyway, this business about these pipes between the green things, the cross shard stuff looks like that.
Okay.
So I would love to know whatever the technical details are about cross shard anything. As far as I know, there's no magic, and that RChain doesn't have any magic for cross shard stuff. But these claims sound like magic, so Greg must believe it, or that we've got some magic there. And I haven't. So if you've seen, has Greg talked about this on one of these Monday morning Casper stand-ups or something?
So it'd be under, namespaces, all the namespace technology. I'm sure, buried somewhere in the few years worth of Casper stand-ups, there's some stuff, but you can't find anything in the Casper stand-up channel because nothing is, there's no log of
Information
what was said.
architecture, right?
Yeah.
So Jim, do you happen to know whether Greg has talked about this recently? Because the Chinese community is all hopping up and down about it. So AtticB is trying to explain it to me and has drawn a few figures and stuff. And he must have gotten it from somewhere. Where did he get it from? You're muted. Jim, you're muted if you're trying to talk.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I haven't understood it really. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of hand waving about the decentralization of the namespaces, but in terms of handling it across shards, that's all sort of magic. Now, you were suggesting a pattern for the cross-shard communication, which was
it's just asynchronous messaging using unforgeable references. But it's asynchronous. It's not
capability
atomic.
transport protocol.
Say it again. Sorry.
capTP.
Yeah, that's correct.
Transport protocol.
Yeah, that's in this style, but it doesn't give you atomic transactions.
There is the namespaces paper that Greg wrote. I read through that. It's it's pretty tough to understand. I don't know if it's buried in. If you were to read that paper, that would make sense.
I've read it.
I mean, why isn't that simply the multi-phase commit? I mean, it seems that a multi-phase commit is the general solution to atomic transfers.
But it's not atomic. Multi-phase commit has got failure modes. It's not atomic.
Well, it's atomic in that either it goes through completely or it reverts.
Well, or you get a partition, right? It could commit on one side or not. Maybe I have to study it more.
Yeah. What is it?
In any case, if it's just two-phase commit, then why is that special about RChain? Why can't all the other blockchains do that too? So that's what I'm trying to figure out. What's special about RChain as far as now the namespace logic is about you could have one set of validators that's validating on both sides at the same time. Now, as of November 2017, the whole core dev team, that was total hocus pocus magic. None of us understood how to do it.
As I understand it, I mean, on a multi-phase commit, in order for it to not have any lock status, you need to have a timeout. It has to complete in a certain amount of time. In other words, if one side commits and the other says nothing,
right,
you have to eventually time out.
So it's like the hash lock timeout things.
I mean, I don't know that there's a solution other than that, but basically you're suspending, you're holding, you get one asset, you get the other asset. When you have both of them, you can switch them. Right?
Yeah, so the way it works in Agoric is when you want to do an exchange of rights, you have to move all the rights into one vat. Then you do the
Right.
switch around, and then you.
That's it. And the question, part of the question is, do you need to trust it, whatever.
Right. So here's something from Attic B. He says, I would not say we are all set with cross-shard atomic transactions. There will be a lot of tech details to solve when we get to that stage. However, RChain's approach is far more elegant than other projects. You have an isolated and static deployment with a chain of COM events involving names from multi-shards. And now you just solve the last mile to collect the votes from them so that the transaction as a whole cannot be reversed in any shards. Then you commit the change in each of the shards R space. Of course, safety and liveness need to be guaranteed on the consensus level. I'm not an expert in this. Maybe Greg or Mike can shed more light. Take a look at Ethereum's work in progress paper, and you can feel the difference in difficulty to levels solving the problem under Turing machine architectures versus RoVM. I mean, the Agoric stuff, each vat is a Turing machine, and I still don't see any big difference. I mean, we do have asynchronous messaging, and Ethereum does not. But I'm gonna copy message link. Need to hypertext this one. That was a useful find, so I'm gonna swap that in here. And I will do something over there. Ah! Oh no, what did I do? There we are.
So
Is that how you spell it? Attic B. Oops. When was that? May 9th.
So
if anybody wants to know how I know so much stuff, I don't know anything. I just know how to find stuff, and I invest a lot in being able to find it.
Yeah.
You were saying, Jim?
Well, it's a totally different topic, but Toby has asked a question in row line there. I mean, you got that one note there. And basically, I was trying to figure out what he's talking about. And I'll just show you here. Okay, if I run this on any network, I get this thing here.
I'm not seeing anything.
You're not seeing my screen?
I see your screen.
Oh, okay. I'm screwed up somehow. Oh, now I see it.
Okay, so I get this number here, which doesn't look like an unforgeable name. I mean, he says he gets a null back. But no matter what network I choose, I get this funny number.
Well, who knows how he's running it?
it looks like, is that what I should get? I should get a number like that for list op? Should be an unforgeable name, right?
Well, it's a process because you got the at there.
Maybe I should look at.
No, it's. I mean, you can never look at names. You always look at processes. So it's the same thing. It's, you know, when we usually talk about an unforgeable name, it's that kind of thing.
I'm wondering if that it's not showing me something because of the problem here.
And then you got your logs somewhere.
Yeah. Whoops. Where am I typing?
Goodbye.
It's interesting, but it just why is say goodbye? Something's funny here. I don't know why that is. Huh.
I got to run, guys. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So it is actually running, but it's not logging. I think I know why, because the logs are moved. The log directory. Okay, so we did get we got a number and an unforgeable. So I didn't see the unforgeable. I don't know what that number is, but.
Oh, sorry. You did get, yeah. Okay. Yeah. When you send unforgeables across the network, you're asking for trouble.
Well, it's it doesn't support, it doesn't print out unforgeables.
Right. Like I said, you're asking for trouble.
Unless they're bundled or whatever. Bundled. Okay, well.
By the way, that's exactly where capTP comes in.
Yeah.
All right, let's bookmark that and come back another day.
Okay. So I guess I'll comment on that I get an unforgeable.
Yeah, you can port him to the Rolang Playground or to that Rgov page you were on. Anyway, talk to you later.
Later. Bye-bye.